So first off, let me start by saying good evening and welcome to Mount Carmel's first ever alumni virtual tour. We're joined tonight by alums from every decade, from the 50s through the most recent decade, ending in 2019. We have alums, and I have to read these. I can't memorize them all, but we have alums from California, Tennessee, Illinois, Wisconsin, Indiana, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Texas, Minnesota, Georgia, South Carolina, and Florida. So it's nice to see, everybody interested still in Carmel and going back as long as we have. A couple of years ago, a few of us went around to a number of states in big cities in the country. And while we were in Phoenix, Arizona, 1959 grad Mike Fallow had hosted us. And the oldest alumni at that gathering was graduating the class in 1944. And he brought his yearbook with him and wanted to show us how that was the only class that graduated in January, and that was so that they can go off to the war. He said, lucky enough for them, though, the war was pretty much over, so they never went. But they got out of school a few months early. But the most recent grad in that house that day was from the class of 2013. And what was interesting is if you just stood there and closed your eyes and just listened to the dialogue of all these guys talking, you wouldn't have known, the ages and the separation of decades, because all they talked about was Carmel. Everybody in that room had one thing in common, and what they had in common was Mount Carmel. And you can tell your age didn't matter. It was a brotherhood that cut across every decade. So it was pretty exciting. I'm Ned Hughes, president of Mount Carmel. I graduated in the class of 1970. Jim Nelson's on here tonight, class of 1970. And there's a couple other guys I saw on the list from our class, so that's nice. This year, Mount Carmel started its 121st year of educating young men here in the Woodlawn community. In the first 100 years of that 120, little change was made to this campus. Probably other than the student center that was built, there was virtually almost no change to this campus or to the school building that had existed. In the last 2 decades, this campus has gone through a complete significant transformation. And it's our privilege tonight to bring the campus to you, into your homes, and wherever you're sitting tonight, we're going to bring that to you. If you haven't been back to campus, you'll be surprised what you're going to see here as we move on with tonight's tour. What hasn't changed, even though you're going to see physical changes to this campus, what has not changed in the 120 years, 121 now starting years, is the Carmelite charism, is the building of, helping young men build character in the Carmelite mission. So it's my honor and privilege to say thank you to all of the men and yes, guys and women that have invested in Mount Carmel to bring this campus to what you're going to see tonight, bring it to the state that we're in. So without further ado, I'm going to let Tony move ahead with the tour, and I hope that you guys enjoy it, and I'm sure that it'll bring back some fond memories as we move through this.
Thank you, Ned. So everyone should be able to see my screen now. And if you'd like, guys, a couple things. One is if you want to use the chat feature, we can answer any questions that you have. We are going to stop in the tour and ask you guys some questions, but you could use a chat feature. And then with everyone's kind of pictures probably ended up down the right-hand side of your screen. If you look at the top of that, there's a black box up there. At the very left of that box, you could minimize everyone if you'd like to go to a full screen mode, so you kind of don't have to see everyone if you don't want to. So first off, thank you guys for joining us tonight. As Ned said, I think Carmel guys, we were talking about this the other day in school, Carmel guys figure out a way to get it done, right? And bringing this school in a virtual way to you guys during this time. My name's Tony DiFilippo. I'm a 1992 graduate of Mount Carmel. And I have 2 sons now that go here to school. I love this school, as we all do. So we're just going to take a walk through and see the changes. I think one of the things that I'm most proud of is we're in school 5 days a week now. 5 days a week, all students are in school. We're the only high school in the city of Chicago that's doing that. I think that's something to be proud of. As we look at this, the front gate, right now, this is where the young men are entering the school. We take everyone's temperature every day, and they enter here. I mean, as you guys can see, I'm just going to spin this around a little bit. You know, for some of you guys, you know, this was St. Cyril's School was right here. For guys in my era, this was a parking lot. You know, it was the student parking lot. Today, you know, this is our student center, or I'm sorry, the Commons, the Cacciatore Center, where kids eat their lunch. It's the entryway into our gymnasium now through this school. This was completed in 2005. You know, if we take a further spin around here, you can see the front. That's 64th Street. Now that's where the students park, is in this parking lot over here. And St. Gelasius Grammar School used to be in that parking lot off to the right a little bit over here at one point. And then, you know, obviously the student center, for many of us, this was the cafeteria. Today, it's really a performing arts center. We do plays, our band play is in there, the choir practices in there. So the student center is now used for a lot of our performing arts. This is our security entrance, and in normal times, the main entrance of the school where visitors come. And then obviously the original school building. So, you know, here's where we all began, right? The front entryway to Mount Carmel High School. A couple of things to talk about. You know, a lot of the renovations on the outside that we've done, you know, we probably all remember this brick to be brown. It was power washed a few years ago. It's actually red. So when the building was clean, the brick came out red, much to a lot of our surprise, I think. What has happened though is every window in the school building has been replaced over the last few years, and you know, energy efficient windows and just modern and up to date. You'll notice the doors to the building have changed too. Those were changed about 10 to 15 years ago due to fire code. Rest assured, the main doors, the old original doors of the original school building are in storage here. They're intact. We are looking for different ways and talking about ways and how we display those at some point in the school. And as you guys would all remember, this was Dante. You know, Dante at one point was you know, the street obviously in front of school, and you know, it dead ended into the football field at one point. What I think is pretty neat about Mount Carmel's campus here is the buildings aren't attached, so it has a small college feel to it. The guys have to walk in between buildings to get to and from different buildings and to and from class. So it does have a kind of a small college feel to it. So we're going to start on the first floor. So this is what the first floor of the original building looks like now. Last year, we completed the renovation of every classroom in the main building. Just to kind of give you guys a sense of new and old together. That T in the hallway still has some of the tile up, so you can kind of see the original the tile that was on the walls to what's new. You know, that wallpaper, that canvas wallpaper that was up on the walls is still in this T. What's also neat is the stained glass from the original door still is above the doorway here. You know, over the last 20 years and all the renovations that have happened at Mount Carmel, from the Cacciatore Center to this new building, have been about $40 million from our alums over that 20-year period. I'm going to play a short video for you guys. This was a video that was from our dedication of the first floor, just to kind of give you a sense of when we unveiled this to some alums and some of the donors.
I don't know if I'm giving for your kindness.
so thank you to everyone that, alums and our generous donors that have made this possible for our students. The screens that you guys see here, and we have our social media feed plays throughout the day on this screen. And the larger screen we use for messaging to the students, messaging during alumni events that are at the school, messaging to prospective families when they're here on campus. A couple of things that we want to talk to you guys really quickly about too is some of the changes to the hallway as far as the design and the artwork. This mural on the first floor here, the large mural, and you guys could actually on your computers can zoom into it and see some of the detail. And we're going to send you guys some information out about it next week. But in the very top left corner of the mural is 64th and 6410 Dante as a dirt patch. And what you could see in that are the horses pulling up lumber, the first construction that started in May of 1924 of our school building. And then if you go down to the bottom right corner, it's the facade of what the school building is today. And then throughout the mural, it represents Mount Carmel, who we were and who we've become. Iconic Mount Carmel figures are in this, the Matt Smiths, Mr. Townsend's, Nick Yashaway, Peggy Kinsel, Betty Harnedy, Mrs. Duffy. We've really tried to capture those iconic Mount Carmel figures that had so much influence on the school, whether it was from an academic standpoint or an athletic standpoint. And it really represents our future in who we are, or from our past to our present and where we're going. And then the next mural is a history of the Carmelites that have influenced so many of us that have walked in these halls. This mural represents every Carmelite that is taught at Mount Carmel. A picture of every single Carmelite that's taught at Mount Carmel is within this. And then it also represents the 5 Carmelite schools, ourselves, Joliet Catholic, Carmel and Mundelein, Sal Point, and Crespi. Those are all the crest on the right-hand side of the mural. So it really represents our history and represents the foundation of the school based on the Carmelite charism of prayer, community, and service. And then the last mural in the hallway here this represents the class of 2020. Every class will be represented here that graduates. A couple things to note on this class. Our valedictorian went to Harvard last year. In our top 10, universities like the University of Chicago, Tulane, Notre Dame were represented. Our top 10 boasted an average GPA of a 4.8, average ACT score of 32. 25% of this class had over a 4.0 grade point average. 80% of the class was on the honor roll. And the students that received college scholarships on average received $200,000. What I think is true to what Mount Carmel is, though, is everyone in this class became the best they can be, in the sense of if you're the young man that went to Harvard, we also have young men that went into the trades or went into EMT school, and we're able to do that, and we're able to be the best that they could be going into their chosen profession because of Mount Carmel. Next up, we're gonna see a classroom. So this is what a classroom today looks like at Mount Carmel. Every classroom is designed to teach to young men. Our teachers, each summer, a handful of teachers go out to the Gearing Institute. Weren't able to this summer due to the pandemic, but our teachers go out to the Gearing Institute, which is in Colorado. The Gearing Institute and Michael Gearing focuses on single gender education. And then our teachers come back and hold professional development and teach our teachers the techniques that they learned that summer at the Gearing Institute. Our classrooms down to the color on each floor were chosen to stimulate the male brain. If you notice the texture on this wall, this is all whiteboard. So the students get up, they work in small groups together in competition. All the desks and tables are modular in a sense. So when you walk into a classroom, there is not one classroom that's set up the same. And again, the whole point when we were all in school, except for maybe Mr. McCabe, we sat there, we were quiet, we read our books. classrooms are really judged and teachers are judged on how much activity is happening in those classrooms. Are guys getting up? Are they working in small groups? Are they working in teams? All the classrooms have the latest technology. In this case, you have a projector as well as a television where a teacher could have two different things happening at one time in the classroom. And the teachers are able to have ports on both sides of the classroom to plug into to the technology behind their desk and then on the other side of the room as well. We're going to watch another short video here, and it's in regards to teaching to the male brain.
So one of the things that we recognize at Mount Carmel is that there are differences in the ways that boys and girls learn. Traditional classroom setting where the teacher is talking for a 45-minute period and the students are expected to just listen and learn isn't necessarily the way that boys learn best. And so here at Mount Carmel, we're very intentional about how we approach boys learning. And there's things that we try to implement in the classroom to better access the male brain. One of the things that we try to implement in the Mount Carmel classroom is movement as much as possible. That traditional classroom setting doesn't allow for a lot of movement or a lot of activity. The teacher is upright at the classroom, maybe at the lectern for the entire period. The students are at their desks, not moving around much. The problem with that is for boys, it can be very easy to lose focus and to drift off into daydreams or to just kind of be zoning out entirely. And when that's happening, boys clearly are not learning. So we want to try to incorporate some kind of movement, some kind of activity whenever possible. That doesn't mean that every classroom involves a lot of running around or anything like that. One thing that I like to do in my classroom is as simple as incorporating a tennis ball. So when I ask a question, I'll hold the tennis ball up and whoever raises their hand to answer that question gets the tennis ball tossed to them. They'll answer my question, then toss it back to me, and so on and so forth. And just by adding that tennis ball into the classroom, boys, focus more on what's going on because they're watching the conversation physically manifest as the ball's tossed across the room, and it keeps them more engaged. And at the same time, some guys just volunteer more because they want a chance to throw and catch that tennis ball.
The part of that video where the guys were doing Tai Chi, that's Mark Antonetti's class. Mark's a 1984 grad. Mark teaches Mandarin here at Mount Carmel. I think the neat part of that story is Mark taught himself Mandarin to teach Mandarin to these guys a few years back. And that's a 4-year language that we offer here at Mount Carmel now. Next up, Alumni Gym. So right now, guys, this is, obviously a place that's near and dear to many of our hearts, Alumni Gym. You guys can see all the championship banners, the Ring of Honor for our wrestling program. Today, Alumni Gym, most recently is actually being used as a classroom. As with COVID-19, we're using almost every inch of the campus to spread out and to use as classrooms. So Alumni Gym is now being used as a classroom by a number of our teachers throughout the day. We still hold pep rallies here, and it's as loud as ever. Fight night is in Alumni Gym. It's our wrestling program here is honored in Alumni Gym, and now this is their main space that they use in the school for the wrestling program. And we even play an occasional basketball game here. Does anyone want to tell their best Alumni Gym story? Does anyone have a great memory in this gym?
Tony, I do. That's just my memory. But you know what I always, when I came back to Mount Carmel, one thing I was looking forward to were pep rallies in the Alumni Gym. I can remember being in high school and I was a sophomore. We were playing for the city championship and we had a pep rally. And the newspapers were all there. And I'll never forget, the articles after that saying that they've never heard as much noise and saw as much enthusiasm as they did in that Mount Carmel gym that day. The students, just so excited about going to a city championship game.
And, to the other thing that the gym is used for, a lot of times the Mount Carmel facilities are also rented for different television production companies for commercials or TV shows. Chicago Fire filmed down here last year. Alumni Gym, a lot of the time is used for commercials. Nike and Adidas have used it for commercials in recent years. So we're going to go up to the second floor. Oh, one other item on the first floor. As you guys probably noticed, there's no lockers on the first floor. Right now, the students have lockers on the second floor, the third floor, in the Graham and McCarthy wing of the school, as well as in the athletic offices of the school. However, behind these walls, they're ready if needed, and for enrollment purposes, if we need them, we're ready to put lockers back in the school. So when we built out the first floor, we can retrofit lockers back in to the walls. So see down the second floor, I think, one other point to touch on, as we did renovate the building, the hallway tile is still original. And then we were able to preserve about 90% of the classroom floors as well. So the flooring in the school, for all practical purposes, is still original to when it was built in 1924. So and Ned touched on this a little bit in his opening remarks. I think, as we see all the new at Mount Carmel, it's the same DNA running through the school's veins, helping young men build character, helping young men be the best that they could be when they graduate Mount Carmel in whatever their chosen professional field is. We're going to play another short video. It's from Mark Antonetti. Again, Mark's a 1984 alum at Mount Carmel, has been a teacher here for the last 30 years. Mark has had 2 sons graduate from Mount Carmel and has a son here, Ben, who's also a junior.
So the sign in the Student Center says, "You came to Carmel as a boy. If you care to struggle and work at it, you leave as a man." And I always thought that people who are at Mount Carmel always had that ethic somewhere in them, even when they were little kids playing in the sandbox. And that sandbox could have been in Gresham, and it could have been in Dyer, Indiana, and it could have been in Mount Greenwood. But kids at that age, even when they're little, there's certain kids who are special, who are drawn to something different, something that's uncommon. And common things are easy things, right? The things that are uncommon are the things that you really have to work for. A gold medal in the Olympics isn't come upon and stumbled upon. It's something that involves having a goal and then going out and achieving that goal. And common people aren't cut out for that. Mount Carmel people tend to be uncommon. They see that sign that says, "If you care to struggle and work at it." It doesn't say, "You came to Carmel as a boy, leave as a man." Hey, you have to struggle and work. And I've seen that for 30 years here. And then as a student here as well, when I was a kid, there are going to be times when things get hard, where you are going to have to struggle and you are going to have to work. But you always know that you have a brotherhood of people around you who, no matter what sandbox they played in when they were a kid, no matter what their religious tradition is or the color of their skin, you know that your brother next to you is someone you can look over in times of struggle. You can glance over at that person and you look at each other and you nod your head because you know what it's going to take. Carmel guys don't throw up their hands when things get tough. Carmel guys don't shrug their shoulders. Carmel guys don't push the panic button. Carmel guys, they look at each other and they look to each other and they nod their heads and they clap their hands together and rub them and say, "What are we going to do? How are we going to solve this problem?" And it might require struggle and work, but that's what I did for 4 years. And I know I had brothers in the struggle. And that's really what makes this experience special. It's the people that you ride with here at Mount Carmel who fill in that point between being a boy and a man. They've chosen and they paid tuition to struggle and work. And that takes a very unique individual, and that's what we get here at Mount Carmel.
I think Mark said it eloquently. When we talk to prospective students, we talk about, we're a working school. We're a school that, you will struggle and work at, but if you buy in, you'll be better. And, you know, when we have, as we all know, because we bought in, when you have that experience, you know, sky's the limit for our graduates. So we're on the third floor. I want to show you guys a classroom on the third floor. It's one of our co-curricular classrooms. So what you'll notice here, guys, obviously, is this classroom is much larger. You know, it's one of our co-curricular classrooms. Co-curricular meaning we could have two different classes in here working on a project. So for instance, you know, we have a music industry class, and it's all about marketing music, how to get music. You know, they do a lot with like iTunes and selling music on iTunes. They could be working with our graphic design class to create promotional materials. So that's just one example. But the idea behind the co-curricular classroom is project-based learning that helps young men with the retention of the subject matter and gets them working in small groups and teams. And then we're going to send you guys this virtual tour. So I just want to also, on the left-hand side, these buttons can take you around the school. Our next stop is going to be in the chapel. So I just want to show you guys as we walk through. You could also, when we send this to you, you could get through the school on the left-hand side with these buttons. So here's the chapel. You know, some alums, some of you guys weren't able to utilize the chapel. It was, you know, it was for the priests and the Carmelites that were here at this time. Guys in my era in the 1990s, you know, we used the chapel for football mass. We used the chapel for Cairo's retreat. Today, you know, where the chapel's being used for some class masses. We also offer mass every Wednesday morning. We have late start. There's a mass in the morning that students can attend and faculty and staff can attend if they choose. We use it for our freshman programming. Our freshmen have a freshman overnight. There's a mass in here for that. So most recently, at the beginning of the pandemic, Father Jim Lewis said mass here throughout Easter every Sunday, and we recorded those masses and sent them out on email to alums, and we also put them on our social media feeds as well. It's just beautiful in here. So this is the Kevin Kennelly Design Center. And this is really the home of our STEM program. So our science, technology, engineering, and math program. You know, we're going to go into the design center here. You know, what we're really proud of is a couple things. One is we have 6 3D printers in this in the center that the students are able to utilize. Our robotics team it's really in its infancy. In the last couple of years has qualified each year since it began for the state championship series. And that state championship series, it's not everyone doesn't go, you have to qualify for it. So our robotics team is qualified for that the last few years. We have a 2008 alum, his name is Dan Mihai, who comes back and he holds drone competitions at the school for our students as well as other local high schools. Again, I think something that we're all very proud of here is our STEM faculty and our science faculty during the pandemic created almost over 2,000 pieces of PPE equipment that we donated to local hospitals. We donated some to the University of Chicago, to Christ Hospital, to South Suburban Hospital, as well as to Silver Birch Assisted Living Facility. We just want to show you guys the 3D printer in action. It's actually printing a mask that we donated. So our faculty came in and did that throughout the beginning of the pandemic. They worked on it and worked in shifts throughout the day to get that done. Our next stop is it's the Cacciatore Center, the newer gymnasium. You know, as the most recent athletic accomplishment on the floor was the 2019 regional basketball title, was here. As you could see, the gym is obviously much bigger than Alumni Gym. These dividers that are up here, we could actually bring those down. We host a lot of grammar school events here. We host our open house here. This is where we have mass throughout the day. Even now, you know, we have masses by class, freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and seniors, instead of an all school mass, to be able to spread kids out. They're held in the gym. You know, I think as we've grown as a school, one of the other segments of the school from an academic standpoint that's really grown is our arts program. We have a really robust arts offering, not only visual arts, but performing arts for our students. We have an all-male choir. When it started a few years ago, we had 8 young men join. Now it's over 40. They sing at every mass. And we have a traveling troupe, which is called the MC9, and that group goes to they've gone to local grammar schools to sing, different local churches to sing. I'm going to give you guys, listen to what they sound like. They're super talented young men. And Sean, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you were a member of the choir while you were here. If I remember right, the 2019 fight night, Sean sung the national anthem at fight night that night.
That's correct.
So I had one thing that Ned pointed out. So the track, so on the old track, you had to run around the old track 24 times for a mile. This new track, 8 times for 1 mile. So same distance, but mentally seems like a much better deal. So the next stop we want to show you guys from the front of the school is Barta Dowling Stadium at Cary Field. And we wanted to show it to you guys entering as you would if you were a fan coming to a game. You know, so, you know, the first place that you go through is the gate here into Champions Way. Champions Way is something that we're incredibly proud of, our athletic history. You know, these state of Illinois signs represent our 24 state championships in 6 different sports, beginning with our first one in 1975 with our water polo team to this very last state football championship. You know, I think the thing, if you haven't been back for a game, it's just an electric atmosphere. You know, there's a picture here that we'll show you guys in a second. You know, on game day, this is what Champions Way looks like. And I think the thing that I want people to take notice of is the young people that are here, the younger alums that have come back. You know, when our last games at Gately Stadium, you know, young kids, potential Mount Carmel students weren't coming to those games. And last year, the number of younger kids that were at those games running on the field and playing was just incredible to see. Again, it's got a small college atmosphere. You'll see that kind of smoke on that back left-hand side. It's Terry Fagan's cooking sausages and hamburgers. The Mothers Club has t-shirt stands all on the way. So again, when you kind of come through, it feels like you're at a college football game. And the atmosphere is just incredible. You know, through the generosity of an alum, you know, we're now able to have our own stadium. It's brought back alums, you know, numerous times last year during the football season. Alums would say to us, gosh, I haven't been to a Mount Carmel football game in years, you know, and I wanted to come see what this is all about. This is the 3rd game I've been at this season, or this is the 4th game I've been at this season. It plays home to football, lacrosse, soccer, and rugby. We're also able to have now IHSA events that we weren't able to host before on campus, not only state football games, but regional and sectional games for soccer and for lacrosse. And again, the atmosphere is just pretty incredible. It's really created this home field advantage that, you know, Mount Carmel football, for being what it's been for all these years, has lacked a little bit. And this is where the student section is in this back area. This is a video of the kids at a game last year. So what's happened is it's really created this, strengthen the community amongst the students. We have students now that'll stay on campus Friday after school till the football game. They play wiffle ball on the baseball field, or they're playing bean bags, or they're just hanging out with their friends, and they stay on campus the entire time. Again, I mentioned that I have two sons here. Neither of them play football. They loved coming to the football games. It goes back to those times where that was our social life when we were here. It's come back to that with these young men that are here. And the last video that I want to play for you guys, just to give you a sense, if you haven't come to a game, I highly recommend it when we're back playing football again. This video is the game-winning kick from the Loyola game. The two things I want you guys to just kind of take in with the video is the hush as the ball's going through the upright, and then the noise in the crowd after it goes through. So that was at the Loyola game last year. Another thing we're proud of is, generally speaking, on Monday mornings, the alderman's office calls and said it was really loud at the football games on Friday night. So it's an amazing atmosphere. And I'm going to read you guys a couple of things that some folks have said, some media folks have said, and one former football player, Edgy Tim, who is a prep football writer, wrote last year, with the addition of Barter-Dowling Stadium at Cary Field, an old traditional power has a new home and a new face and a new identity. Most importantly, the program has renewed energy and excitement that I never thought I'd experience. It's a prime example you could blend in old school tradition with new school identity and make it work. Pat DiSabato, again, who's a Tribune sports writer, awesome, one-of-a-kind atmosphere out here at Mount Carmel. Well done. And the last is from Olin Kreutz, the Bears center, who had a son that was on the Loyola team that we beat in that video. Friday night lights, Mount Carmel versus Loyola, 14-7 Carmel at half. Their new stadium's awesome, and the fans are unreal. John Halasek and Jordan Lynch are as good as it gets, and their teams are battling. Football's alive and well in Chicago. So again, you just had these folks that have come in, and it's just an amazing, amazing atmosphere. And again, if you haven't been back to a game, I would highly recommend it. Was anyone able to get back to a game last year, or was that one of the Friday night games? Sean, I know you were here for a couple. So, that's the tour. We will be sending you guys this virtual tour. It's self-guided. So you could obviously play around with it, go through, make stops throughout. There are a few more videos throughout that you guys can watch. I think Ned's going to talk to you guys a little bit, and then we're going to have a Q&A session, and please feel free to ask any questions that you guys would like.
Okay, thanks, Tony. Appreciate that. That was well done. And I hope everybody enjoyed the tour. I'm sure that for many of you, it brought back some nice memories when you were here at Mount Carmel and seeing some of the particularly the old gym and the hallways, et cetera. So hopefully it was well worth it. Tony showed at the end there, the new football field. One of the things at Mount Carmel, we always find a way in the face of adversity to endure. We always find a way to succeed. And as we look at, this school year, this is an odd year, right? With the pandemic, you really think about it. We came back to school after Christmas of last year in the second week of January. And at the end of the second week of March, the entire country was quarantined. So the students were in school for 2 months. And as we went through the end of last school year, here in Illinois, for sure, there was no going back to school. And so far this year, many schools, as a matter of fact, most schools haven't, public schools anyways, have not opened up. And for those students, if they don't come back to school the remainder of this year, they'll have been in school an entire 2 months out of the entire calendar year of 2020. And as we sat around here at Mount Carmel and talked about that, a couple of things. One, we felt bad for last year's seniors. And your senior year of high school, that's such a great year. You know, you look forward to that senior prom, you look forward to that graduation, you look forward to sharing those experiences with your classmates as you know, walk down the aisle of church in your graduation gown and come out and meet your parents, and everybody's so excited. And the students last year across the country, there was 3.7 million graduating students last year in the United States that weren't able to have a graduation. And you saw some schools had drive-up graduations where you drive up in your car and they put your cap and gown, your diploma in the trunk, and then you drove away. You saw some schools had a graduation ceremony where people were parked out in the parking lot, and one family at a time walked through the gymnasium, crossed the stadium or the stage, were handed their diploma and walked out. The next family would walk through by themselves. Not very exciting. You know, we did not want that to end this way at Mount Carmel. You know, we made up our mind, what are we going to do to bring this class before they leave campus one more time together? And we did. We brought the entire graduating class onto the football field in a car. So each family was allowed one vehicle parked on the football field, and we had a graduation ceremony. One of our alums, I think Tony may have graduated with you or around you, Pat Galata. He set up technology so that as we had our speeches going through the microphones up in the press box, and they were going into the car radios, into the car. So everybody heard every speech that was given. It poured rain that day, and we had every faculty member, every staff member in cap and gown with an umbrella, standing in the stands, watching for an hour, hour and a half, the graduation ceremony and speeches. And as the parents were driving out of the stadium, moms were crying. They just thought it was the greatest thing in the world that Mount Carmel brought those students together one time as a class before the end of the school year and endured that rain for their sons. That was a big deal. And as the summer went through after the pandemic continued, we made a decision that we were going to bring back our students to campus every day, 5 days a week, all day. Tough decision, to be honest. And we had to make sure that we put in all the safety protocols of the CDC that had requested to make sure that faculty, staff, students are all safe. And, you know, hats off to the task force that we put together here, led by John Byrne, who's our operations VP here at school, and got us ready to open up school in mid-August. We're the only high school, I think, in the city of Chicago that has come back full-time every day, all day long. All the Catholic schools are open. They're all on hybrid schedules, 2 days on, 3 days off, 3 days of e-learning. Public schools, most of them haven't opened up. I think for the first time in the history of Mount Carmel, what we've seen is, you know, normally, however many students are registered and signed up to come to school on day one, 4, 5, 6 students don't show up for whatever reason. They change their mind, they can't afford it, et cetera. They didn't show up. So our enrollment drops on almost day one. Certainly on week one, our enrollment drops from who was registered. Within the first 3 weeks, it even drops a little bit more. And that's, you know, because some of the students that, you know, they've now rode the bus for 3 weeks and say, this isn't for me. Or they came and they thought they were going to be a first stringer on football, found out that they're not. So they want to go somewhere else where they can be a first stringer, or at least they think they can anyways. So our enrollment every year has gone down in the first 3 weeks of school. This year, you know, when we made the decision to come back to school full time, what we didn't anticipate was that none of the public schools were going to open, that all the Catholic schools were going to be on a hybrid 2 days on, 3 days off, 3 days e-learning. And with us being the only school that opened, we actually have gone up almost every single week since school started with our enrollment. You know, public school parents have decided, I don't want my son at home. He's better off learning in school than he is sitting in the family room at home. Some of the Catholic schools in recent weeks where parents are seeing that we're in school all day, every day, have decided to transfer their sons out of, Brother Rice, St. Rita, Marist, to Mount Carmel because we are in school. So I think for the first time ever, our enrollment has actually gone up every week since the beginning of the school year. And it's a great job that our missions office and the work that they've done, the diligence that they work to continue to work with families and bring students to Mount Carmel. So hats off to them as well. The campus that you saw today in this tour, in this video, is different for each one of you, depending on whenever the last time you were here at Mount Carmel. As we meet the demands, the requirements of today's students and the future students of Mount Carmel, we will continue to evolve. We will continue to make sure that, we are the premier school in the city of Chicago. It's our mission, it's the Carmelite mission to make every student be the best he can be, the absolute best he can be, in academics, in activities, in diversity. And that's who we are. And that's what we're proud of. And that's what we're getting accomplished here at Mount Carmel. So as we continue to evolve in the future, we will continue to evolve our campus to meet tomorrow's needs. And as I talk about tomorrow's needs, I want to just, quickly bring to you guys that I was recently visited by the Commissioner of Planning and Development for the city of Chicago. And now that the Presidential Center over in Jackson Park is officially approved, they want to make the face of Woodlawn be at 63rd and Stony Island. And as we look at the face of Woodlawn, so they're going to develop between 64th and 61st Street from Stony Island all the way to Martin Luther King Drive over the next 10 to 20 years. They're going to develop that area to be an absolute transformation of the community, of the neighborhood, which will bring in jobs, it'll bring in revenue to the city of Chicago, et cetera. So, when I was in Mount Carmel, and for us older guys, if we remember, this neighborhood was a pretty tough neighborhood. And people were moving out of Woodlawn, not into Woodlawn. Woodlawn actually back in the early 50s had 96,000 residents. Today there's about 20 to 22,000 residents in the city of Chicago. And 6 years ago, you could have bought a city lot in this city for $1. And the city was selling them for $1 because they wanted somebody to pay the taxes on that property. Today, you can't buy a lot in Woodlawn. Everyone that the city owns are not for sale. They're holding them. Private investors that own, about 200 empty lots here are selling them for more than $120,000. Houses just 2 blocks away from us are selling anywhere from $600,000 to $750,000. So the transformation of Woodlawn has already started and will only continue. That's all good news for Mount Carmel High School. We'll have more and more students in the future walking to school like they did back in the 40s and 50s than we've seen since then, to be quite honest. So the transformation will continue. The evolution of developing this school to a better campus will continue. And I want to say thanks to the many alums, the parents, the friends who have invested in this school to make this campus what it is today, to build this campus what it is today. And I encourage, some of the folks I know here on this meeting tonight are part of those people that have invested. And thank you very much. I reach out. Can't thank you enough from the deepest part of my heart for all of us at Mount Carmel that you've done this. I encourage those that haven't to join us. Join in the investment of this school. You can see the excitement that your investments and the investments of the alumni, that have graduated from this school, friends, parents that have had their sons graduate from this school, what it's done for Mount Carmel and for this community. And I talked about earlier, the Mothers Club and Fathers Club having a big event out here today. It's the community and the excitement in this community over the last 4 years here at Mount Carmel has just been tremendous, and it's going to continue to build and keep going. So I encourage you to join us, join in helping Mount Carmel. Tony talked a little bit about it, but you know, it costs us over a couple $1 million a year, the cost of education, of educating the student to what we were able to charge in tuition. So we need help, and we'll always need help to keep that Carmelite and that charism going forward. If we've failed to reach out to you, let us know the best way to reach out, and we will reach out. Finally, I want to give a shout out to Tony, to Tim Surges, who's our IT guy here, and a young lady, Ellie Mankey, who works for Tony, that put together this tour. And as Tony said, we use it for both, you know, tonight for our alumni, so that you guys can see what the changes here at Mount Carmel and what we're offering our students, and to our alumni. So hats off, special thanks to them. And at this point, I'd like to open it up for any questions that anybody may have. And we'd love to be able to answer your questions about today or tomorrow.
Dave, class of 60. Our reunion was postponed due to the COVID issue. Will we be recognized next year?
Yeah, so we unfortunately were able to have our, as you mentioned, our alumni banquet this past year. And it was my, Jim Nelson's, it was our 50th anniversary as well, which we were looking forward to. But the answer is yes. So we were, you know, right now, because we weren't able, you know, we thought originally we delayed it in the spring that we'd have it tonight. And that's why we're doing this tour tonight on the video, virtual. But as you know, in Illinois, the governor still has restrictions, so we can't have it. We're anticipating we'll be back to normal next spring, and we will honor both the classes of 1960, 1970, 1961, and 1971 for their 50 and 60 year anniversaries.
Thank you.
Sure, we can.
Yeah, well, my name is Harry Kenny. Kenny is my surname. I'm a graduate of 1951, and it's amazing when you see the campus. When I graduated, there wasn't even the student center there. It was still the rectory for the priests, and our brother John's emporium in the basement. He would sell Twinkies and bottles of milk, and we'd take our sandwiches and sit on Dante Avenue, or you could sit there in the hallways and eat our lunch. I'm a very proud graduate of Carmel. My brother John graduated in '44, and the reason why I went to Carmel, I went to Visitation Grammar School, and almost all my friends went to De La Salle. And my mother and father really liked the Carmelites after my brother John. My brother John left early to go in the service. And Father Roderick, I don't know whether that rings a bell with any of you, came over and visited with my mother and father, because my dad didn't want to sign for my brother to go in the service. He was only 16, but he was close to being 17. And Father Rod came over and talked to him. And my parents were just enamored with the Carmelites. And I really found them great gentlemen. It's amazing what you've done. And my wife and I split our time between here and Clearwater Beach, so we're not here a lot. But that football field is wonderful, and the hallways are wonderful. And the old gym, I was in the band, and in the old gym during the basketball games, we had the pep band, and we'd be in the corner just raising hell and adding to the disagreement of the visiting Leo Lions or the Rita. Well, we had a lot of things to say about Rita, but I'm very proud of what you've done. You've done a wonderful job, and I thank you for it.
I appreciate that. But it really takes the entire Carmel community to do everything that you guys saw tonight, so thank you guys as well. Really, really appreciate it. Any other questions or anything that we can do for you guys? Anything that, you're curious about or want us to see if we can accomplish for you? We'd love to do it.
For my side, Ned, I'm a big fan of development, and I'm really very, very happy that we've got new blood on board. I think there's more to our story to tell and share, and the role of women in Mount Carmel is very, very important. I'd like to see us reach out to that other half of civilization that's been a big part of what Mount Carmel's all about. I think we've missed out on some opportunities there. And yeah, I like what's happening here, Ned, and to the development team there. I really like what's going on, and it means a lot. It's a great place. My parents put 5 of us through there, so it means a lot to us. So keep up the good work, guys. Thanks for the tour, and I'm looking forward to the link because I'll share it with some people that haven't been able to be here tonight. So,
Thanks, Jim. I appreciate it. I would, I'd like to introduce, and maybe I think they may have to talk so you can see their face, but we did bring on some new folks here in the development department that we're really, really excited about. These people are people that have worked, in raising funds for nonprofits, for many years, each one of them. Toby Ems, who's been here about a year now, some of you may have know Toby. Matter of fact, I know you do, because Harry, you already said hello. How you doing, Toby? And Tim Freeman, who's on this call, it just joined us. Tim, worked for the Jesuits for a few decades, actually. And as we all know, the Jesuits aren't as good as Carmelites, however, but they are good at raising money. They're pretty good at that. And Sean McDonough, who's now the vice president of development, and he's come with background from Western Illinois, DePaul University, Loyola University. So we really have a good professional staff here right now, and we're looking forward to what they'll be able to accomplish over the next decade. So if each one of you guys could just kind of say something so your face and stuff pops up, and say hello, so that everyone can knows what you look like.
If I can go first, if everyone can everyone hear me?
Sure.
Great. So I'm Sean McDonough. I've been here for 4 days, and it's an unbelievable experience already. So I'm overly excited to be here. Thanks for joining us tonight. I look forward to meeting all of you and the rest of the men at Carmel. But the future is bright, and I can't tell you how excited I am to be here to be a part of the family.
Thanks, Sean.
Hi, I'm Tim Freeman. I've been here 3 days, and I am thrilled to be a part of the Mount Carmel team. My dad attended Mount Carmel until, like others, left at age 17 to join the Navy in World War II. But I'm thrilled to see today's Mount Carmel and really stunned at the poise and position of where Mount Carmel is in its future. And I'm thrilled and very excited to try to engage alumni to come and see today's Mount Carmel by this tour and by visiting the school to encourage everybody to join in and help bring Mount Carmel to greater heights. So thank you. Wonderful to meet you.
Hey everybody, Toby Ems. I am the Vice President of the Educational Foundation, so Planned Giving. So yeah, it's been about a 1-year anniversary for me now. Joined September of 2019. Absolutely a phenomenal school. Glad to be here, and hopefully I'll be able to touch base with many of you in the future.
So thank you, guys. We really, truly appreciate you joining us this evening. And again, consider, making a contribution to Mount Carmel. It would really be great. And the reward for every dollar invested goes into these young men, and the future of these young men, the future young men that haven't been here yet. It's so rewarding to work with these young students and see them all move on to the next step of life. It's fun. It really is. So thanks, and thanks much.